Daniel believed life was simple. He believed people should make clear rules and follow them. Rules made life easy. Rules protected the heart. That evening, Daniel sat in a small cafe near the corner of the street. The lights were warm. Soft music played in the background. It was not a special place, but it felt calm. He checked his watch again. The blind date was late. Daniel was not nervous. He never was. He had gone on many dates before. He knew what he wanted and what he did not want. In his mind, love was like a clean book. No tormpajes. No dark chapters. A few seconds later, the cafe door opened. A woman walked in slowly. She looked around, then her eyes met Daniel's. She smiled gently and walked toward his table. Her steps were quiet. She wore simple clothes. Nothing flashy. Nothing loud. But something about her felt different. "Daniel?" she asked softly. "Yes," he replied, standing up. "You must be Sarah." They shook hands and sat down. The waiter came, took their order, and left them alone. For a moment, there was silence. Daniel looked at Sarah carefully. She looked calm. Too calm. Her face held peace, but also something deeper. Something unreadable. "So," Daniel said, breaking the silence, "blind dates are always strange." Sarah smiled. "Yes, but sometimes strange things teach us something." Daniel laughed lightly. "Maybe." They talked about simple things. Work, weather, life in the city. Sarah listened more than she spoke. She nodded. She smiled. She never rushed her words. Daniel liked that. Still, he believed honesty was important. He did not like wasting time. He cleared his throat. "There is something I should say early," Daniel said. Sarah looked at him. "Go ahead." Daniel leaned back in his chair. His voice was calm, confident. "I don't date widows," he said. The words fell between them like a stone dropped into still water. Daniel expected many reactions. Anger, shock, sadness, questions. But Sarah did none of that. She did not change her expression. She did not argue. She did not defend herself. She only looked at Daniel quietly. For a second, Daniel felt uncomfortable. "I believe," he continued, trying to explain, "that relationships should start fresh. No heavy past. No old pain." Sarah nodded slowly. "I understand," she said. Her voice was soft. There was no anger in it. That surprised Daniel. Most people tried to explain themselves. Most people tried to prove something. Sarah did not. She picked up her cup and took a small sip of coffee. "Life does not ask us what we want," she said calmly. "It just happens." Daniel frowned slightly. "That's true, but we can choose what we accept." Sarah looked at him with steady eyes. "Sometimes we think we choose. Sometimes life chooses for us." Her words made Daniel uneasy. He did not know why. The waiter returned with their food. The moment passed, but the air between them felt different now. Daniel tried to smile. "I hope I didn't offend you." Sarah smiled back. A small, peaceful smile. "You were honest. Honesty is not wrong." Daniel relaxed a little. Still, something about her silence stayed with him. She did not ask why. She did not tell her story. She did not walk away. Minutes passed. People laughed at nearby tables. Cups clinked. Life moved on around them. Daniel did not know that this calm moment was the last moment before everything changed. He did not know that his words would soon return to him, not as a sentence, but as a lesson. A lesson life was already preparing. And when it came, it would not ask his permission. Daniel grew up believing that control meant safety. From a young age, he watched people around him fall apart because of love. His parents argued often. Friends cried over broken relationships. Daniel learned one lesson early. Emotions create pain when they are left free. So he decided to keep his heart guarded. In his world, love needed rules. Clear ones. He believed that if two people came together without heavy memories, their future would be lighter. No sados. No ghosts from yesterday. To him, widows carried stories that never truly ended. Loss did not disappear. It followed a person quietly, like a shadow in the sun. Daniel was not a cruel man. He respected people. He listened. He helped when he could. But deep inside, he feared pain more than anything else. He feared waking up one day beside someone who was still living in the past. Years ago, Daniel had loved someone deeply. Her name was Emily. She was full of life, full of dreams. But she had been engaged before him. Her past always stood between them. She spoke of memories Daniel could never be part of. Slowly, he felt invisible, small, unimportant. When a relationship ended, Daniel promised himself one thing: never again. That promise shaped him. It made him confident on the outside, calm, logical. People admired how clear he was about life. They called him mature. They said he knew what he wanted. Daniel believed them. That evening at the cafe, Daniel watched Sarah quietly. She ate slowly. She moved with care. There was no rush in her actions, no hunger to impress. It confused him. Most people try to sell themselves on first dates. They talked fast. They laughed too loud. Sarah did none of that. Her silence made Daniel uncomfortable, but also curious. He wondered why she accepted his words so easily, why she did not argue, why she did not ask questions. In his experience, silence usually meant weakness or defeat. Yet Sarah did not look weak. Her eyes carried strength. Not loud strength, quiet strength, the kind that does not need proof. Daniel pushed the thought away. He told himself he was overthinking. People were simple. Life was simple. It was better not to look too deep. Still, something inside him shifted. For the first time in years, Daniel felt unsure about his own rules. Not because they were wrong, but because they felt incomplete. He remembered his belief: love should be clean. But now he wondered, what if love was not about cleanliness at all? What if it was about courage? Daniel shook his head slightly and returned to his food. He reminded himself why he created those rules. They protected him. They kept him safe. He looked at Sarah again. She smiled politely, unaware of the storm slowly forming inside his thoughts. Daniel did not know it yet, but his past was about to meet hers. And when it did, his carefully built walls would begin to crack. He believed pain came only from attachment, never from distance. Distance felt safe to him. Distance meant control. He had trained himself to step back before feelings grew strong. Friends called it wisdom. He called it survival. But survival can become a prison when fear is the guard. Daniel never named that fear. He only fed it with logic. He told himself stories about strength and choice. Yet deep inside, something old and fragile still lived there, waiting. That night, as voices mixed and time passed, Daniel felt that fragile part wake up. Not loudly, not suddenly, just enough to remind him that rules can break, even when we believe they are unbreakable. The feeling scared him because it felt honest, and honesty often leads to change, and change, Daniel believed, always comes with a cost he was not ready to pay yet still. Sarah noticed Daniel's eyes following her movements, not in a rude way, but with quiet confusion. She had seen that look before. People often try to read her, but they never reached the last page. She was used to silence. Silence had become her safe place. She did not speak much, because words often invite questions, and questions lead to stories. Stories open wounds. Sarah had learned that not every listener deserved the truth. Daniel tried to fill the space with small talk. He asked about her job. She answered simply. She asked about his work and listened with care. She nodded, smiled, and never interrupted. It felt natural to her. Listening had once saved her from breaking. Inside, Sarah felt no anger toward Daniel. His words did not shock her. Life had already shown her much harsher truths. Judgment was something she had learned to accept quietly, like rain you cannot stop. She looked at Daniel and saw a man who believed he was strong because he avoided pain. She recognized that belief. She once held it too. Years ago, Sarah had been full of plans. She believed love would protect her from everything. She believed tomorrow was promised. Then one night, everything changed. The memory stayed with her, not as noise, but as stillness. A stillness that followed her everywhere. She never spoke about it unless she had to. At the cafe, she felt the weight of the moment. Daniel had drawn a clear line without knowing who stood before him. Sarah respected honesty, but she also knew honesty without understanding can still hurt. Yet she stayed calm. Not because she was weak, not because she felt small, but because pain had already taught her patience. She noticed something else about Daniel. Behind his confident words lived fear. Fear of comparison. Fear of not being enough. Fear of losing control. Sarah had seen that fear in herself once. Standing in front of a mirror after loss changed her forever. Daniel believed widows lived in the past. Sarah knew the truth was different. The past lived in her, yes, but it did not control her steps. It taught her how to walk carefully, how to value breath, how to forgive silence. She took another sip of coffee. The taste was bitter, but familiar. Daniel apologized again for his words. Sarah nodded. She wanted to tell him something. Not her story, not yet. Just one thought. Sometimes, she said gently, people think pain makes you weaker. But pain can also make you quiet. And quiet does not mean empty. Daniel looked at her, surprised. He did not answer. The moment passed, but something stayed behind. A feeling neither of them could name. Sarah knew this meeting was important, even if it led nowhere. Life had a strange way of bringing lessons through strangers. Sometimes you are the student. Sometimes you are the lesson. She wondered which one she was tonight. As they finished their meal, Sarah stood to leave. Daniel offered to walk her to the door. She thanked him and smiled once more. It was a soft smile, carrying both kindness and distance. At the door, she paused. Thank you for the evening, she said. Daniel nodded. Take care. She walked away into the night, her steps steady, her back straight. Daniel watched her leave, feeling something unfamiliar settle in his chest. It was not regret. Not yet. It was curiosity mixed with unease. Sarah did not look back. She never did. Because some stories are not meant to be chased. They are meant to be discovered. Later, when the time is right. The night should have ended quietly. Daniel expected to forget the cafe, the conversation, and the woman who walked away without explaining herself. He told himself it was just another date. Another passing moment. Yet something followed him home, sitting heavy in his thoughts. Sleep did not come easily. The next morning, Daniel returned to his routine. Work emails, meetings, numbers on a screen. Everything felt normal, but his mind was not. Sarah's calm voice returned again and again. Her words replayed without sound, like a memory refusing to fade. That afternoon, Daniel stopped at a small bookstore near his office. He had not planned to go there. His feet simply carried him inside. As he walked through the quiet aisles, he noticed a framed photo near the counter. A charity event. Volunteers standing together, smiling. His eyes froze. Sarah stood in the picture. She wore the same gentle smile. Beside her stood a man in a uniform. His arm was around her shoulder. Under the photo was a small note. In memory of Michael Hayes, a hero who gave his life to save others. Daniel felt his chest tighten. He stepped closer and read the description below. It spoke of a fire 2 years ago. A man who helped strangers escape before the building collapsed. A husband, a friend, a man loved by many. Daniel's breath grew shallow. He asked the store owner about the photo. The man spoke kindly, unaware of the storm inside Daniel. He explained that Sarah often helped with community events. She never spoke much about her loss. She did not ask for attention. She only showed up. Daniel thanked him and left the store. The world outside felt louder, brighter. He sat in his car, staring at the steering wheel, his thoughts racing. A hero, a husband who died saving others. And Daniel's words echoed in his mind. I don't date widows. The sentence no longer sounded confident. It sounded small. He imagined Sarah sitting across from him, listening quietly while he spoke from fear, not truth. He realized she had carried her pain with grace, while he had carried his fear as pride. That evening, Daniel walked through the city without direction. Faces passed him. Laughter. Noise. Life moving forward, unaware of his inner collapse. For the first time, Daniel allowed himself to imagine her story. Not as a widow, but as a woman who had loved deeply and survived loss without becoming bitter. He understood something then. He had not been protecting his heart. He had been hiding it. Daniel remembered his past with Emily. He had blamed her memories for his pain. But now he questioned that belief. Maybe the problem was not her past. Maybe it was his fear of being second to something meaningful. Michael was not competition. He was a chapter that shaped Sarah's strength. That truth hurt more than Daniel expected. He sat on a bench as the sky darkened. The city lights flickered on, one by one. In that quiet moment, Daniel felt his walls crack. Not loudly. Slowly, he realized life had answered him. Not with anger, not with shame, but with understanding. The lesson was clear. Pain does not make someone unlovable. Avoiding pain makes love impossible. Daniel did not know what he would do next. He only knew he could no longer see the world the same way. For the first time, he wished he had listened more than he spoke. And for the first time, he understood that some lessons arrive softly, but leave a deep mark. Life had taught him one, and it was only the beginning. Days passed, but the weight inside Daniel did not lift. The lesson life had placed before him refused to fade. It followed him through meetings, through traffic, through silent nights at home. He had faced many challenges before, but this one did not ask for action. It asked for honesty. Daniel began to notice things he once ignored. Couples walking slowly, holding hands without speaking. Elderly people sitting together on benches, sharing quiet moments. Love was not loud. It was not perfect. It was patient. He wondered how many stories he had dismissed without listening. At work, a colleague spoke about losing his wife years ago. Daniel listened differently this time. He heard strength, not weakness. He heard courage hidden behind calm words. Each story felt like a mirror reflecting his own narrow thinking. One evening, Daniel found himself standing outside the same cafe. He had not planned to return. His steps brought him there before his mind could stop them. The chair where Sarah had sat was empty, but her presence filled the space. He replayed the moment again. Her quiet acceptance. Her gentle smile. The way she never asked him to change his mind. That was when Daniel understood something painful. Sarah had already forgiven him. She did not need his apology to move forward. He was the one trapped in the moment, not her. The realization humbled him. Daniel thought about his fear of comparison. He feared loving someone who had loved deeply before. He feared being measured against a memory. But now he understood that love is not a competition. It is not reduced by what came before. It grows because of it. Michael's story did not steal space from the future. It created meaning for it. That night, Daniel wrote something for the first time in years. Not an email, not a plan, a letter. He did not know if he would ever send it. He wrote about fear, about hiding behind rules, about learning too late that walls built for safety can also block joy. The words came slowly, but they were honest. Days later, Daniel volunteered at the same community center he had read about. He did not expect to see Sarah. He only wanted to stand where she stood, to understand the kind of strength that shows up quietly without asking to be seen. He helped carry boxes. He listened. He served coffee. The work felt grounding. Near the end of the day, someone mentioned Sarah's name. Daniel's heart raced. She was not there. She rarely stayed long, they said. She came, helped, and left. That was who she was. Daniel smiled softly. He no longer felt the need to chase or explain. Some apologies are meant to change the speaker, not the listener. As weeks passed, Daniel's rules began to fall away. Not all at once. Slowly, carefully. He stopped labeling people by their past. He started asking better questions. He started listening. The lesson life taught him was not about widows. It was about humility. It was about understanding that pain is not a stain to be avoided, but proof that someone has lived and loved deeply. Daniel still believed in choice. But now he understood that choosing love also means choosing courage. On a quiet evening, Daniel returned to the cafe one last time. He sat at the same table. He looked around and smiled, not with regret, but with gratitude. He whispered to himself, "Thank you," because life had not embarrassed him. It had educated him, and the lesson stayed with him, shaping every step that followed. Some lessons do not arrive to punish us. They arrive to prepare us. Daniel was finally ready. Daniel did not expect a second chance from life. He believed lessons were often one-time moments. You either learn them or you lose them. But life, when it truly wants to teach, sometimes stays patient. Months passed. Daniel changed in quiet ways. He spoke less and listened more. He noticed people instead of judging them. Stories no longer scared him. They interested him. He stopped asking what someone carried from the past and started asking how they carried it. One afternoon, while helping at the community center again, Daniel saw Sarah. She stood near the window, sorting books with the same calm focus he remembered. Time had not changed her. Or maybe it had, but gently. Daniel's heart slowed. He did not rush. He did not panic. He waited until she noticed him. Sarah looked up. Their eyes met. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she smiled. The same soft smile. Warm but careful. "Hello, Daniel," she said. "Hello, Sarah," he replied. They stood in silence. This time, the silence felt peaceful, not heavy. "I heard you help here now," Sarah said. "Yes," Daniel answered. "I wanted to learn." She nodded, understanding more than he said. They sat down near the window. Sunlight touched the floor between them. Daniel took a breath. He did not prepare a speech. He did not defend himself. "I was wrong," he said simply. "Not about having fears, but about letting them decide for me." Sarah listened. "I judged a story before knowing it," he continued. "And life showed me that strength can be quiet, and love can exist without erasing the past." Sarah looked at him for a long moment. "You learned," she said. "Yes," Daniel replied. "And I'm grateful." She smiled again. Not because he apologized, but because he understood. They spoke for a while. Not about loss. Not about the past. They spoke about simple things. Books. Work. Helping others. The conversation flowed easily, like a river that had waited for the right season. When it was time to leave, Daniel did not ask for promises. He did not ask for more. He only said, "I'm glad life let me listen this time." Sarah nodded. Life teaches us when we are ready. They walked separate paths that day. But something had changed. Not a relationship. A perspective. Daniel understood now that love does not demand perfection. It asks for presence. It asks for courage to sit with someone's truth without trying to erase it. Sarah continued her life, strong and steady. Daniel continued his, wiser and open. Whether their paths crossed again did not matter. The lesson was already complete. Life had taught him that people are not broken by their past. They are shaped by it. And shapes can be beautiful, even with cracks. Daniel never used that sentence again. "I don't date widows," because he learned that love is not about categories. It is about humanity. And sometimes, the greatest lesson life teaches is not about who we meet. It is about who we become after the meeting.